We got 4. At this time, we will call to order the Board of County Commissioners meeting for the purpose of agenda review of next week's business session. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer, he's in the building. Commissioner Allen?
Here.
Commissioner Klicka?
Here.
Commissioner Osterhaus?
Here.
Commissioner Ashcraft?
Here.
Commissioner Brown? Here. And Chairman Eiler.
Here. We do have a quorum present. Would the clerk please read the proposed consent agenda items?
Number 1, consider reappointing John Staton as the 2nd District Representative to the Juvenile Corrections Advisory Board through June 30th, 2021. Item number 2, consider approving the Kansas Department of Transportation's KDOT Supplemental Agreement Number 1 to the Master Agreement for Federal Aid Statewide Bridge Inspection.
Somebody want to speak to that last item? What are we doing here?
Jeff Oss with Public Works. This is a contract that originally the board approved in 2014 to allow statewide bridge inspection contract for certain bridges, fracture critical bridges, pin and hanger bridges, and underwater inspections on certain bridges that require it across the state. The feds actually required the local owning agency to do those inspections, but KDOT thought it would be more efficient to let a statewide contract. So we benefit greatly from economy of scale in that, not having to rent the specialized equipment and trained staff. This is supplement number 1. KDOT originally wrote the agreement before the feds actually passed the final policy. So this is to correct some language issues and some funding issues in that. The ultimate result is the same costs for us. So this is just cleaning up that contract.
The one that was approved in 14.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Other questions? All right. Well, that will remain on consent. Moving to the proposed action agenda.
Item number 3, consider approving May 31st, 2018 business session minutes.
All right. Commissioners were absent, so that will remain on action. Next item.
Item number 4, resolution number 042-18. Consider granting an exemption from the provisions of KSA 41-719D to allow for the sale and consumption of alcoholic liquor and cereal malt beverages at the Meadowbrook Park Clubhouse and adjacent areas located at 9101 Knoll Avenue, Prairie Village, Kansas.
Ms. Geller.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Jill Geller, Johnson County Park and Recreation District. I come before you today to request your approval of Resolution 042-18 to exempt the Meadowbrook Park Clubhouse and adjacent areas from the provisions of KSA 41-719D to allow for the sale and consumption of alcoholic liquor and cereal malt beverages on these premises. We'll be opening the Meadowbrook Park Clubhouse in early fall. We know this will be a popular venue for special events, weddings, fundraisers, and other gatherings. Allowing the sale and/or consumption of alcohol will make this venue more attractive to many users. We've received your prior approval for such allowance at the Arts and Heritage Center, Milldale Farm, the Theater in the Park, and Whispering Pines Shelter at Timber Ridge. There have been no incidents at any of these locations as a result of this exemption, and the allowance has certainly benefited our ability to rent and generate revenue at these facilities. Just like our other facilities that have this allowance, the sale of alcoholic liquor and cereal malt beverages at Meadowbrook Park Clubhouse must be conducted by a licensed vendor. Alcoholic liquor and cereal malt beverage that are provided but not sold may be consumed on the premises without a licensed vendor. In March of this year, the JCPRD Board approved the sale and consumption of alcoholic liquor and cereal malt beverages at Meadowbrook Park Clubhouse, pending your approval. Upon your approval, the JCPRD Board will adopt rules and regulations specific to this location that are consistent with this resolution, just as we have at the other JCPRD facilities where this is allowed. So at this time, I'll stand for any questions.
Only one question. I don't have a problem with it. So by approving this, the facilities you mentioned, you have the ability to authorize the activity rather than each of those coming to the BOCC. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you. Other questions?
Consent.
Consent? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item number 5, resolution number 041-18, application number NW-CU-3385LE. Consider a request from Leslie and Mark DeBrabander, applicant landowners, for a conditional use permit renewal for a contractor shop and yard located at 31715 West 115th Street on approximately 40 acres on property zoned RUR Rural District.
Mr. Leipzig.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jay Leipzig, the Planning Department. This item is brought before you. It was recommended by staff for approval for a conditional use permit for a contractor shop and yard. It was brought before the Northwest Consolidated Zoning Board on May 21st, 2018. It was unanimously approved by that body. This CUP, or conditional use permit, was originally approved in 1997. And so it has been there for quite some time, and staff and then the county has had no issues with compliance ever on this property.
Questions of staff? This is a planning item, so it will remain on action. Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Chairman. How long of a term on the conditional use?
This is for 10 years, again.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next item.
Item number 6, resolution 044-18. Consider approval to authorize the sale of not to exceed $251,595,000 principal amount of general obligation internal improvement bonds, Series 2018A, the Series 2018A bonds.
Okay, staff?
Good morning, Nate Bloom, Budget Office. This item is requesting authorization to sell $251 million in GEO bonds for 15 wastewater projects. That does include the Tomahawk project, as well as voting machines. The wastewater projects will be financed over 22 years, and the voting machines will be financed over 10 years. The anticipated sale date for this issue is July 25th, and the estimated interest rate is 3.39%. Due to the size of the bonds and the demands of bidders, Springstead, our FA, our financial advisor, has recommended that the board authorize the chair and the vice chair to award the sale to the best bid as soon as possible after the sale.
But that action is not included in this motion, is my understanding.
Correct.
All right.
And and as long as the bid is within the parameters set by the board, we are still working to finalize those proposed parameters with Gilmore, Bell, and Springstead. We expect to come back to the board in a few weeks to set those parameters, and that will be a separate resolution.
Should note those two items are not part of this motion. This is just simply to authorize the sale. And with the volatility in the interest rate markets, the action taken yesterday by the Fed, we're looking at a potential date in late July for this auction. And so I think the financial advisor's suggestion is that we consider some flexibility. This wouldn't be a large issue, and we need to maximize the opportunity for bidders. If they have to wait 2 or 3 days or even 24 or 48 hours to find out whether or not they are the winners, that could restrict their activity otherwise, and could lead to a limitation of bids. So, but again, those last two items are not part of this. Mr. Klicken?
What are the current ratings that we're dealing with from the rating firms?
Currently for the GEO, we're still AAA.
In all the various rating firms?
Yes.
Yeah.
Standard & Poor's, Moody's, the whole works.
Correct.
So we should be well positioned to get the best rates here when that time comes.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, Standard & Poor's did move our PBC rating back up to AAA also, so we are triple on all of our debt.
We've got it.
Mr. Ashcraft?
Clarification.
Yeah.
Chairman, we're triple with GEO, but we are now triple with Standard & Poor's because we don't get a rating from one agency, Fitch, from Fitch.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's fine.
Sorry.
Just clarifying.
Right. All right, Mr. Ashcraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bloom, just a clarifying question. The term for the wastewater bonds is 22 years. I just wanted to confirm with you that none of these items here are items that have a anticipated lifespan of less than the term of the contracts, particularly the SCADA network communications and security improvements. That's not going to be obsolete technology in 5 years that will have to then be replaced. And
No, I've brought that up with wastewater, and they have confirmed that that will be, or the useful life of that item will exceed the term of the bonds.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Chairman. As a result of what happened with the Federal Reserve yesterday and a prediction of 4 more rate increases over the course of the balance of this year, time is of the essence. Expeditiously moving is a bit, a 0.25% change on $250 million is a big number.
Yeah.
So we just need to keep hustling it.
Yeah, okay. Well, any other questions? This will remain on action. Next item.
Item number 7, RFP number 2018-011. Consider authorizing a term and supply contract with Aramark Correctional Services, LLC, for managing a school food service program for a not-to-exceed amount of $250,000 for an initial 12-month contract period with the option to renew for 4 additional 12-month renewal periods.
Mr. Sullivan.
Robert Sullivan, Department of Corrections. This contract would be for food service at our juvenile detention center as well as the adolescent center for treatment. The department, in addition to this contract, receives a grant from the Kansas Department of Education that provides for reimbursements for a portion of the cost. Typically, that's just a little bit over a third of that expense is reimbursed. Aramark has provided services for us since 2008. They also provide food service at the Adult Residential Center and the Adult Detention Center. The contract with Aramark for services at those 2 facilities was renewed in 2012 and runs through 2019. And so I'd ask that this contract gets approved.
Questions? Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sullivan, so there were only 2 proposals entertained. Is the market that tight?
I don't know the answer to that, Commissioner.
Okay. And
There was only 2. I just don't know how tight the market is.
okay, and then I noticed that at one time we used to provide these services directly or in-house. Was that considered as an option, or is that just so costly that it's not worth pursuing?
My understanding, Commissioner, is that it's more cost-effective to use the vendor because they can order on bulk versus us.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Consent or action?
Consent?
Consent? All right, so noted. I will have one item that will be under my comments, just a notification. We need to elect a voting delegate to National Association of Counties meeting in mid-July. So Mr. Brown is the leading candidate at this point.
Do you need a motion to that effect?
I think I'm the last man standing.
Yeah. You need a motion?
This is agenda review. We're not there yet, so it'll be on next week. Okay.
Congratulations, Mr. Brown.
Any other items, Linda?
No, sir.
All right, that completes our agenda review. We do not have a study session scheduled this afternoon, so everybody's free to enjoy the hot weather.
PBC.
Excuse me?
PBC.
Come back in 5
Special
minutes for
PBC.
agenda review.
PBC public.
building.
Oh, yeah, oh, PBC, right. I'm sorry. Okay,
3 minutes?
Let's do it.
3 minutes.
we are adjourned from agenda review. We'll come back for the PBC review.